Cheers, folks. Let's dig into this one. I do have a deeply disturbing confession to make. I have an Asian girl problem.
Baby, I love you.
Ever since I traveled the world and lived in Thailand and then Korea and Japan and gone to all these places, I simply cannot find American women attractive anymore. It's kind of weird.
Whatever.
So this video is deeply interesting to me for multiple things because we have to go through an extremely interesting timeline and transition of body and mind, I think, of Elena Agu, a really impressive bodybuilder that has been through a dramatic shift both on social media and her physique and body fat changes too, which we'll show. And as we scroll into the depths of her social media origins, it's very clear that she designed her page and her presence online to be surrounding fitness and a lot more of an educational persona. Posting neat aesthetic videos of herself working out is like a tutorial style video. Now at this time, it's super clear that the path was pre-paved. A lot of the times we see early lore of these women we cover, they don't necessarily have a lot of gym content to start out with. They're just being a girly pop. But this isn't the case here, and she was already really fit too. She had some really good influences early on. When she initially made this post 5 years ago, you can see that she was a D1 swimmer. She was a very good swimmer, and I think very competitive, and that's probably why she's really in shape already just starting out. She talks about wanting to start this page as a cool way of sharing some workouts for people to do. And this was definitely during the COVID era when things like this, home workouts and such, were pretty important for everybody. She traveled to Kenya for 8 months to learn something about conservationism or something. And right away, her content had a bit of interactions. I am actually pretty surprised, but I guess this was around the good old days of Instagram where basically anything you'd post would get eyes on it. And the algorithm was helpful. It would help push your content to the people in your niche. It was kind of nice. But now, well, all I get is anti-Semitic brain rot in my feed for some reason. So this professional, simple, clean strat started to work really well from her from the jump. And she had that COVID era buff too, where everybody else was just stuck inside being able to do literally nothing. So why not pop open Instagram and go through a really quick workout with this cute Asian girl and figure some shit out? And you know, this doesn't take away from the fact that she was extremely consistent with posting. These were daily posts, which for one is insane work, but two, a lot of different forms of working out for each day that goes by. I mean, that's intense. She's doing tons of different workouts, and sometimes I'm pretty sure at least she probably recorded a lot of these in the same day. This is how you should have spent your time in COVID, doing productive things, getting away from the monotony of the life that you live, taking the time where the government's paying you to stay home to actually procure your own form of income. We're blazing a bit too much here. Let's move on. During these early stages of this kind of new path for her, she even became a partner of Lululemon Collective, which from my understanding is an application-based program where you get accepted based on the application that you submit. I don't know if that acceptance criteria is very vast and it's easy to get in or if it's very slim, but cool to mention. A few months down the line, we learned a little bit more. She graduated in 2019 with a degree in ecology and evolutionary biology. This is super cool. I love the sciences. I went for biochem, and when I saw the course load, I was like, I'm out. I like money more, so I'm just gonna keep making money. And then I went for nutritional sciences degree, but hey, it is what it is. We all get here at some way, point, shape, or form. I just drink Monster now. I don't really know what I do. But these studies are really interesting. They focus on how living organisms interact with each other to create their environments, ecology, and how species shift over time, like genetic drift, which is a really interesting concept, like super crazy cool concept, honestly. And it's really weird because you think about like where we are today as humans and how much of that is like our personal genetic, like encoded, hard-coded traits being shifted genomically from decades of doing shit backwards and getting used to screens, and just food for thought, I guess. I don't know. Think about the kids who have grown up with nothing but like this in their face, you know, like nothing but this. I just can't imagine. Think about the kids who grew up in COVID era, right? Where they weren't even able to go to school. That's some crazy shit, man. Anyway, she spent 8 months in Kenya too, which is pretty cool after graduating. She loves to travel. Me too. I like to travel. You can also see how much progress that she's made from doing these small workouts in as little as 4 months. It's staggeringly good. We have seen girls on this channel talk about taking steroids because they don't want to wait long enough, and their transformation is less impressive than this. I do think she's completely natural at this point, by the way. Once COVID ends, she gets back into the gym doing some exotic style hypertrophy workouts. One of them is this hamstring curl, which I know this is in the past and she probably would agree with me now, but stability and bracing, the more stability and bracing that you can create for yourself, better hypertrophy outcomes are generally soon to follow. So if I'm doing something, you know, right next to a lying leg curl machine like this, I'm kind of an idiot, right? I should probably just say, hey, that machine over there allows me to brace myself. It also allows me to stabilize my leg and create a situation where balance is not necessarily needed. So I can focus entirely on my hamstring contracting and getting maybe a little bit of glute activation. But for you guys, this is important, right? I don't mean to be rude, but there's these like influencers on Instagram, particularly a lot of female ones where they do these really cheeky workouts that are like cute, aesthetic. They have like these really bright and light filters on all of their videos and stuff. And the workouts are like really oddball workouts. Like they're using cables and they're using bands and they're doing like all these weird things that it's just like, okay. If we practice the fundamentals, if we just got back to the fundamentals, you would make so much more progress. I know it's not cute. I know it doesn't have filters, but it works. And at this point, we aren't even a year out from where we had started, and she's making some really big changes. But again, I would say here that she's probably natural. It just seems that she really locked in, and based on her work ethic, which we've seen through this period of time, and her ability to stay consistent in her messaging and branding and all of the things, I would just believe that this is honestly just a really dedicated gal. I mean, she was a D1 athlete. That ain't normal. I was scrolling through her profile and I noticed this "Stop Asian Hate" post. If you hate Asians, you're garbage. Okay, and you're uncultured, all right? I'll literally fight you. But anyways, almost a year has lapsed since that first post, and she has improved astronomically. And what will also improve astronomically is your life if you subscribe to this channel. So click that subscribe button. 63% of you on average aren't subscribing when you watch these videos, yet some of my videos get 150,000 views. What are you doing? Click subscribe. And this video, I wanted to just give a quick shout out, is sponsored by Anabolic Insights. You want top tier lab testing without breaking the bank? You should really consider checking this out. Anabolic Insights gives you the most affordable panels out of any distributor of lab work I've ever seen before. You need to stop getting ripped off by going to these clinics that are charging you $600+ to get a very, very basic panel when it shouldn't even cost $200 to $300 maybe. Using their programming, you can actually track your workouts, your supplements, your protocols all along in tandem with your blood work. You can see exactly what's moving your markers where and get a really detailed analysis of all of this information. You can swipe through highly interactive charts to see what is working and what isn't working, so you can toss it when something's not doing what you want. And then best of all, you can let AI dive into your lab work and everything that you've displayed for it, including the workouts, the supplements, and all of that, to give recommendations based on what it's seeing. Ready to dial in your health like we know you need to be doing, especially if you're here on this channel. You probably know about peptides, anabolics, and all the other things that women are using, as well as men. It's really important. You can click the link down below today to find out how much your labs would cost to get started, and I bet you it's way cheaper than anything you've seen before. Back to the video. Her density of muscle now is actually nuts, and it's pretty clear that even if she was on steroids at this point, which I still don't think she was, this is a genetic gift. She has the ability to put on a lot of muscle pretty quickly. But then I feel like we reach this point in every journey that we follow. The "I'm going to compete soon" post with them hitting a pose. As you would imagine, like it always comes to be, this is where things get a little suspect. She makes a post with G Daniels, which I have no issues with G Daniels. Good gal. We covered her. We made a video about her. I think she responded very appropriately and just like took the criticism that I gave in the video, but also agreed with it, which I think was really important. And I commend that, right? Super awesome. But here's the thing. Back then, when G Daniels was doing her thing, this was right around the time where she had accidentally taken, well, not accidentally, she thought she ordered one thing and she likely got another thing, which was what had permanently deepened her voice when she was openly talking about it.
Just because I'm not scared to talk about it and I feel like people don't talk about it enough, let's talk about my voice and it being being quite a bit deeper than when I started social media. Obviously, I'm very open that I'm not natural. I do take performance enhancing things. However, with my past coach, I did a cycle that I do not believe is what it said it was. And during that time, my voice drastically dropped. Very much so. And it's just kind of something that comes with the territory that you are never going to be 120% sure you're getting what you say you're getting. And obviously not to say that I deserve anybody an explanation. I just think it's not just kind of a risk people talk about enough sometimes.
So because of that association and being that, again, this is right around that time for G Daniels, I have a feeling that maybe, just maybe, if they were associated together, and this is completely my opinion, I have no clue what was actually going on, there might have been some intermingling with sources. And the only reason I say this is because, well, things are accelerating fast and they're about to get even faster. She claims to be up 20 pounds in 2 years. And for a gal, that's pretty freaking nuts. Now, again, she's very genetically gifted, but even for a genetically gifted individual, for a gal, like under 2 years of progress, 20 pounds is crazy. And you can just see a lot of crazy changes going on here. There's a huge shift in the direction of her content. It is much less tutorial style videos and more of just her physique and her working out, and to be honest, mostly just her physique. We also start getting the obligatory bodybuilding poses on her page all the time. And I guess it's up for interpretation here really, but in my opinion, this doesn't seem natty to me. It very well still could be, like entirely, but from my personal opinion, just, you know, being in the field for some time now, just a little bit of time, almost as long as Coach Greg, not really, but damn, that guy's old.
That's freaking bullshit cop-out loser attitude that you have.
But I think where things getting obviously really super sus is in August of 2022. A prep is ongoing, and at that point, the proportions are just nuts. And even for gear, 12-week transformations like this with a female demographic is crazy impressive. And I say that like I'm putting women on a lower pedestal than men, but you have to understand the severity of work required for a female to lose fat mass quickly is a lot more than what you would expect. For men, it's a lot easier. Why, you might ask? Well, very simply, I can take a boatload of any compound and relatively be fine from side effects. I can also, just standing, existing, being me as a man, 210-ish pounds now, burn way more calories than a female would because of the size distribution. If I'm on average, right, let's just say, 80 pounds, 60 pounds even heavier than a female that is trying to also lose weight, she's going to have to do a lot more work to create the expenditure that I can create just from sitting and existing. So to have this rapid change in such a short time period, you have very low calorie intake, very high cardio output, far more than what a male counterpart would probably be doing at this point. And when I'm saying low calories, I'm talking low calories, girl. Like we talking 1,200 calories sometimes, you know what I'm saying? But I do think that this is where the roots get set, so to speak. They're digging in because the comments on almost every post are ecstatic. They're warm. They're very impressed, shall we say. This is the positive feedback bubble that we talk about. It starts to grow now. The walled garden, the walls start to rise. Everything seems glorious from the center of it all. The affirmation that the journey you're on is the right journey for you becomes almost irresistible. So the first NPC show passes, and right away you have a champ in all classes except the what I would assume to be national show, which was after the regional show, and she was allowed to compete in it because she placed first in open, and then she said that she didn't place in the pro show or pro qualifying show. So I'm assuming usually some shows will have a national show, some big shows, and then right after the national show they'll have a pro qualifier, and the pro qualifier is where you can get your IFBB pro card. She placed third. Like, that's pretty bonkers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's her first show ever, which is just insane. And now we get to the post-show bulk, which, god damn, that's a bulk if I've ever seen one. This gal beefed up quick. And let me be honest, all right? Okay, another interesting dynamic with gals is that when they do cut body fat, because it is a lot different, right, thermogenically, sometimes calories do get really low. And when you're, towards the end of a prep, like you're at, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, shit still needs to happen. Sometimes not uncommon. I've seen 800 calories before a day, right? So you're eating like little bits of chicken for your meals, and that's it. Like, that's it, So post show, know, the potential to have a eating disorder become developed is very high for female demographics. It's actually extremely common. We covered studies on this before. I think it's 2 in 3 women involved in like fitness industries have some form of eating disorders. But regardless of that, whether she was intentionally beefing up this much or not, I think it's great. I know it's not great to have an eating disorder, but to embrace body changes and to also understand that to grow, you generally need to eat more is really important. One thing that happens for sure with women and men is that they really don't like to see the body changes from being the absolute leanest to getting a little bit more body fat. That is a hard transition to make. And to see that she's like really embracing it and taking advantage of the time that she has by eating more on anabolics or not, good deal. But before she had the COVID buff, now I think she's working with some other buffs, if you know what I mean. She's at a staggeringly high weight, not in a bad way, just a very, large gal, 170 pounds. This is her previous show versus this current show that she's working towards. So again, I want to be super clear when I say things. I'm not trying to say it from a place of contention, or I don't want to besmirch someone or hurt their feelings or say I'm calling them out and doing anything. These are just my opinions. I'm assessing them objectively as I can be, and I'm just saying things honestly. In the blue shorts is her first prep. In the black tank top and pants is where she won her pro card. That is like her prep for her pro card. You can see facial changes begin to form, right? Like, let's try to find some more to show you what I'm talking about. There's just some changes, and it's not necessarily like you can put this under a magnifying glass and say, here's this problem, here's this problem, here's this problem. I wanted to say, I usually do side-by-sides and stuff like visually myself just to see. And I wanted to say, okay, like there was some jawline changes because her jawline does look sharper. It's hard to say. One thing that's really interesting is the phenotype of different ethnicities and their reactions to androgens. I think a lot of the African-American women that do bodybuilding proficiently and do take steroids, you don't tend to see them masculinize as strongly. And then I would also say the same with a lot of Asian cultures. I mean, I've personally, like up front, close and personal, witnessed Koreans when I was living abroad, and wow, I mean, lots of Thai girls blasting. And surprisingly, like, yeah, their voices change, but their facial structure remains pretty sturdy. But there's one thing you do notice, always. This was just posted today, and she looks almost 10 years older in 2 years' time. Like, this is 2 years ago. To be clear, this is her just a couple months over 2 years ago in this picture. And even though she's leaner when she's bigger now, she still has a larger face too. This could be from a lot of things, development of muscle tissue within the face. Androgen receptor activation via taking anabolic steroids isn't, again, just exclusive to muscle tissue, which a lot of people interpret that as being the case. It's not exclusive to your appendages and your chest and your glutes. It's active on all myocytes. So if I have muscle in my face or muscle in my little chin here, or chin, cheek, and also your forehead, you can build muscle in those areas. Here's another thing, chewing. The hypertrophy of your jaw from chewing so much, because a lot of bodybuilders eat 5 to 6 times a day and dry food too, that shit will grow your jaw. Your jaw will grow out. So some of this could be from that, and I don't deny the fact. She's definitely gone through this process, what I would hope to be safely, but I will say, whether, this is a product of androgen use or not, I think one thing that is very clear is she has aged significantly within just a 2-year time span. Now, a 2-year time span for a normal person, you may be like, oh, that's just normal aging. 2 years, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? People don't just age 10 to 12 years in visual appearance in 2 years.
It's great, mister. When I grow up,
I'm gonna wish I had done more with my life, Sonny. Yes, sir.
Well, some people do. Like Obama, I don't know if you've seen like when he entered his presidency and like a few years later, it was pretty rough. But high stress environments can definitely induce that. Also, outside of the psychological stress, high induced stress environments via using chemistry can do that as well. And a lot can be explained here as to why this happens. And I think I wanted to more so use this transformation because it's not so, evident that there's these huge masculine changes. You can see changes, but they're not as prominent, and we don't have a voice to go off of or anything like that. To the reference of skin aging. So when you use higher doses of anabolics or even moderate doses, especially, you experience a sort of skin thinning effect. And a lot of this is due to androgen receptor activation causing the redistribution of fat. That lesser plumpness in your face, that loss of, collagen and fat disposition in your face can create your skin looking a little bit leathery kind of thing. Famous biohacker Brian Johnson actually did an entire series on this process because he had been intermittent fasting and eating so little calories that his face looked aged. It looked old. His skin didn't look very good. And so he went as far as injecting fat into his face and then had a horrible allergic reaction and all of these different things, but it was in order to make his skin look younger. And you might be saying,
well, wouldn't that just happen if a girl got lean anyways?
No, naturally and hormonally, which these things will very clearly change how you distribute fat in your body. There is a lot of different phenotypes within fat loss. Men tend to have sharp jaw lines because androgens do cause pressure to change fat distribution. Women tend to hold more fat in their face. In fact, it's in a lot of ways encouraged, but this is looks maxing tutorial. I don't know. Anyways, when you take androgens, your fat from the face can sort of dissipate really quickly, like from your face. It can also bloat your face out and around. These are from different causes. Your skin needs a balance of estrogen, collagen, hydration, and subcutaneous fat to stay looking smooth, plump, and, young. When you're running these high doses and tending to androgens specifically, first, you usually tank some estrogen, and no matter what you do, unless you're using an estrogenic compound like testosterone, which most females are not, you end up crushing that essential component to maintaining skin thickness and elasticity, especially in those dermal layers. This is stuff that would not normally be moved around, but now it's going to be. And then also your skin starts to lose moisture and elasticity when estrogen drops. This is very mechanistic to what estrogen can do. It's like kind of deflating a balloon. Once that balloon loses enough air, it starts to get all wrinkly and stuff. And then you have also oxidative stress, which I don't think enough people talk about openly and educate on. When you're running these doses of compounds, you are massively increasing your metabolic demand in the body, and your cells are working a hell of a lot harder. Your liver is processing toxins, your kidneys are under load, and your mitochondria are honestly firing like crazy. Everything's ramped up. This, in fact, being ramped up so high, all these processes are creating reactive oxygen species. They're basically free radicals that cause cellular-based damage. Normally, your body would counteract a lot of this by putting systems in place to mop it all up. Glutathione production, superoxide dismutase, and a bunch of more complicated stuff that we don't need to get into. But when you become enhanced, it does, especially for a longer duration of time, it does suppress your body's endogenous ability to help these processes, but good enough to reduce reactive oxygen species or oxidation in general. So those abundance of free radicals start to cause cellular damage to your skin and organ, and that looks in turn like aging. Essentially, very important thing to understand as oxidative stress goes up and inflammation goes up in the human body, your compounds in your skin go down. This is almost true in all situations. Collagen, elastin, which is a peptide that basically makes your skin more elastic. These things start to dissipate quite a bit, especially when more oxidative stress is around. That's why prominently most bodybuilders do look a lot older than they are. You see these 19 and 20-year-old bodybuilders that look like they're 30 already. It blows my mind. The Trend Twins actually even talk about this quite a lot, of the year-long process of them getting on gear made them look 10 years older.
Do you guys ever regret hopping on? I mean, I was handsome as fuck before I hopped on steroids. I gained 9 years of age in less than a year.
And it's a huge reason for me, why I stopped, right? I talked about my hair loss before, but it was also the skin aging. You can put an image of my fat face here compared to now. It's that doesn't even look like me, bro. It's crazy. And a lot of that is from I would assume, at least this is my opinion, the oxidative stress caused by taking these doses of pharmacology for long enough time time periods. And it's not just that, right? Like, it's not just that the drug is going to cause oxidative stress. It's that the off-targeted effects of the drug are taking you down a path of oxidation. The liver stress, the renal dysfunction that can be caused from taking specific anabolics, and a lot of them, to be honest, as well as the inflammation caused by having very high levels of circulating insulin a lot of the year. Because when you are trying to bulk up as a bodybuilder, you're eating lots of carbohydrates and you're taking compounds that further compound on the elevated insulin and IGF-1, which furthermore cause these same issues. And hypertrophy by its nature is an inflammatory process. We need that inflammation so the body can react accordingly and then create a reparative system. The problem is a lot of the steroids that we take are further compounding on that. So it's this whole thing, right? It's this whole thing. A lot of these people are saying, oh, steroids don't change your face. They do. If it's not your bone structure, it's the muscle in your face that gets absolutely hypertrophied like crazy. If it's not that, it is the redistribution of fats from androgen receptor activation, changing fat patterning, which is a known thing. It's not some like woohoo I'm making up. Or it is the oxidative stress aging your skin rapidly due to cellular damage. And this is just something you see with males and females in the sport. So beware, I guess. User beware. I don't know. Whatever. Take it as you will. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, hey, I suck. Like I said, I drink Monster for a living, so that's where we're at. Yeah, have a great day, I guess. Stay happy, smile. If you force yourself to smile, sometimes it doesn't hurt as bad to exist alone. Do you hear that? There's nothing. There's always nothing.